Alright guys, in this video I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about a new leak that I recently came across that comes from an insider, and this insider actually does have a little bit of a track record. In fact, we've talked about this individual before, not too long ago actually, regarding the Order 1886 sequel that they seemingly alluded to. And this individual goes by the name Osiris Black, and the reason why we're taking time to go over what they had to say here is because, first of all, they described what seems to be a next-gen title or a game that's running on either the PlayStation 5 or the next-generation Xbox, and it sounds pretty awesome, but they also talk a little bit about the power factor when it comes to this console and what these consoles are striving for. So I just think it's going to make for an interesting conversation here. So if you think you're going to enjoy it, be sure to hit the like button. It really helps the videos out. And be sure to hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't already done that. Now, when it comes to the individual Osiris Black, they were actually correct in the past. They leaked out information about the PlayStation 4 Pro before it was actually out there and before anybody really knew about it. So they were correct about that, clearly proving that they are reliable to a certain extent. I'm not saying that everything we're going to read here is 100% true. I mean, there's a very good chance it could be made up for whatever reason, but I don't think that's the case. And so I'm going to read their post here. And it says, "The lead graphics engine designer laughs at me for stopping every 30 seconds to just rotate the camera and look at the sights and listen to the sounds of their game world. Everything in the game is PBR, which stands for physics-based rendered or physically based rendering, with multiple sources of volumetric lighting. All of the characters in this game are unique. You will never see the same character model more than once. As I am playing, I realize how difficult the game is. I play several games competitively in multiple genres, but I'm really getting it handed to me. I take the lead character out into a hallway, and two enemies rush into the room, shooting and moving in what appears to be a tactical pattern. Is this guy shooting me while the other guy is trying to circle around or flank me? He laughs again. Yup, suppressive fire. As the enemy shoots at me, I take note of the deformation of the geometry on display. Chunks of cement give way, revealing the metal pipes underneath that hold the structure together. Everything is based in reality, including what happens when you shoot people or get shot. It's beautiful, but it ain't pretty. I sit the controller down. I'm about to die again anyways. The game is definitely running at 60 FPS. He shakes his head at me. No, it's running at 90 frames per second, locked, native 4K. Dumb stare. On which machine? He smiles, both of them. 2 hours and several drinks later, when I asked about the performance of both consoles, his response was, both have the same target. We will see if either of them hit that target. I pushed further and asked about what that target was, and his response was simply above 12. That is not for the Xbox Series or the PS5. From what I can gather internally, both machines are targeting very high performance, which lines up with hearing earlier that the machines would both be $499, with both companies taking a loss. And he actually puts a little side note here saying how with both of these dev kits, they're not final. And apparently he's saying that as of right now, the dev kit for the Xbox Series is slightly ahead in terms of sheer power, but Sony's toolset is much more complete and refined. And so, yeah, this was pretty interesting to me because first of all, they're describing what seems to be next generation game here. And it tells me that first, I mean, we're gonna get some amazing stuff, obviously, next gen. But I'm trying to sit here and wonder which game could this be. It's clearly a third-party game because the developer he's talking to has access to both consoles or both dev kits, and it could very well be the Order 1886 sequel. There was a lot of speculation that if there was actually a sequel to this game, that there's a chance that it might actually be a multi-platform title. Maybe Sony actually gave the rights to Ready at Dawn or sold it to them or whatever. And so that could be what he's describing. But either way, the game sounds pretty cool. But what really interests me is what he had to say here at the end when talking about the consoles. Now, according to this developer, whatever this game is, they were able to get the game running at 90 frames per second at native 4K, which is pretty insane if this is true. And, you know, he says here that he was talking to the developer and trying to inquire further about what the target is, like what exactly the specs are, at least in the dev kits. And he's claiming that both Sony and Microsoft are apparently aiming, and as he puts it, above 12, which maybe he's referring to teraflops here. I mean, you have to imagine that's what he's referring to. And again, if this is to be believed, apparently both Sony and Microsoft are targeting, and that's we have to pay attention to, that's what they're stressing here, targeting above 12 Tflops. And the developer is actually interested to see if they're able to hit that. And, you know, I will say this, if this is true, then yeah, both of these consoles are undoubtedly going to be $500, certainly not any lower than $500. And then, you know, he just kind of says here at the end that they're both dev kits, they're not final yet, and nobody really has the final specs yet, other than maybe Sony or Microsoft themselves. And, you know, the Xbox Series is slightly ahead in terms of sheer power, which doesn't necessarily surprise me at all, but it kind of does go against what we've been hearing. It's kind of been like a seesaw effect back and forth, but this leak really interests me, again, because of where it's coming from. You know, this individual, Osiris Black, they may just be making things up here. We don't know, but they have proven to be credible in the past. And because of that, I'm inclined to pay a little bit of attention to what they're saying here. I mean, they're not outwardly saying what game this is. It sounds like some type of military shooter. So, you know, maybe some of you guys can speculate down below which game it could be. It could, again, be that rumored sequel to the Order 1886. But, yeah, I mean, this is pretty interesting. It's going to be a pretty interesting turn of events if we find out that both the PS5 and the Xbox Series can hit close to 12 Tflops. Now, there are a lot of Xbox people who, you know, claim to have inside sources or seemingly act as if they have some type of inside knowledge when it comes to both Xbox and PlayStation, where they are very, very, very confident, and I don't know how much of this is just wishful thinking, but they come off very confident that the PS5 is going to be like a 9.2 teraflop machine, and it's going to be significantly less than what the Xbox Series is going to offer. And I don't mean to constantly talk about the power here, but I know a lot of you are interested in this, and I'm trying to keep you guys up to date with any interesting leak or rumor we hear. That last leak we went over, spec leak, there was a lot of people who actually came out and said that there's no way this could be real. Okay, to be fair, maybe that one was a little bit of a stretch, but this one I find much more interesting. But again, we don't know how much of it we can buy into, but I'm going to be really interested to see what you guys have to say about this. What do you think about the description of this next-gen game? Some of the things they're talking about here, you know, physics-based rendering, volumetric lighting, you know, talking about environmental destruction, talking about how there's not going to be a single NPC that looks the same, and how the game is running at 90 FPS 4K, which is crazy. Now, I want to say here, the thing that's worth noting is that even though this may sound a little bit crazy, like 90 FPS, native 4K, just the other day we talked about how the developers, Polyphony Digital, who make Gran Turismo, how they say that 4K is great and all, and they almost make it sound like they'll be able to hit 4K no problem, but they want to focus on higher frame rates going at 120 FPS or 240 FPS, which sounds a little bit ridiculous to some people. Maybe that is a little bit too intense, but it just goes to show that maybe these machines are much more powerful than we may realize. You know, they're able to hit native 4K no problem. Let's just bump up that frame rate as high as it can go. I also really want to know what you guys have to say about what this developer supposedly is saying about both Sony and Microsoft targeting above 12. What do you think that means? And what do you think it's going to mean when it comes to the final consoles? So let me know your thoughts down below. Leave the video a like if you did enjoy it or found it informative at all, or you just appreciate me keeping you up to date with all of these leaks and rumors. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload. And feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.
Where the hell did he go?